Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It is another Friday with Dannphan right after Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a not a stressful one. A lot of people say that Thanksgiving is the most stressful time of the year. So hopefully it was a more calm Thanksgiving for you guys. Children and all that. So let's see, how's everybody doing? And now that we're past Thanksgiving, that officially means that we are in Christmas season, although I'm sure a lot of other people have already put their Christmas trees up as quickly as possible. I do love the Christmas season. I like a season where everything can just be happy for a little while. Everybody wants to chime in on the goodwill aspects of things. But, you figured most streamers would be taking a break for Thanksgiving? Yeah, I considered taking an extended break from yesterday, but, the show must go on because, it's like whatever. It's fine. It's just an hour stream that we do. It's not super it's not a super amount of work, but yeah, I won't be able to take a real break for a long time because I really just gotta focus on finishing up the comic. Thanksgiving may be past, but you still need your crusty bread. I don't know what that means, but okay. Yeah, so naturally we're all going to be eating Thanksgiving leftovers for another week. And we're all going to be super tired for that whole week because we're just going to be sleepy, having nothing but turkey. I had a little turkey for lunch, and even now I'm still a little bit sleepy. I didn't even have that much. I just had a little bit. Doesn't matter. It's just a sleepy thing to eat. But that's fine. So, yeah. I think overall it was nice. It gets you to think, what are you thankful for this year? I think there's a lot of things to be thankful for naturally. I'm thankful for everybody who reviews my comics. You guys are great. Everybody who reads them, in fact, gives me a chance. I appreciate you. Very thankful for you guys. And I'm thankful that I have, of course, good friends, good family, people who care about me, and thankful that I found an art mentor this year who's been helping me polish up some of my artwork to the best of her ability, of course, and we're gonna do I'm gonna do my best to take what I've learned and make Reaper Book 2 good, and then I'm gonna redo the entire first book so that it's all good and consistent, because I like doing that. Just had some pumpkin pie for dessert. Always goes well with hot tea. Yeah. I'm not a huge pie person, but if I am gonna have a pie, it's usually apple pie. And it's usually way too sweet. I can't stand things that are just way too sweet. It drives me crazy. But you guys already know that if you watch the snack videos. That's practically all I ever talk about, is how I hate things that are too sweet. Ugh. Unfortunately, it's been rainy the past couple days. I wish that the sun would come back out. It'll give me a little bit more energy after I've been, sedated with all this turkey. But yeah. So, I guess there are some things that have happened recently that we can talk a little bit about. We've got, an animator who was talking about the One Piece Season 3 thing. Interesting to hear the response. In a way, I almost wish that he never made a response because, you know, sometimes when a fandom is upset, you should probably just let it sort itself out instead of adding to that. But we'll go over that. We'll talk a little bit about that. Because why not? Thanks for the 10, Code Melted. Happy Friday, Dannphan. Did you binge Stranger Things on Wednesday night? I did not. I should have done the Thanksgiving tradition of watching a Christmas movie on Thanksgiving night, but I didn't. I'm gonna fix that later. We'll put on some Christmas-themed things later this month, or, well, there's not much left in the month, but, you know, later this week, I'm thinking. So I'm thankful for the fact that I never quite became a boring adult, despite the 40-hour work thing. But despite the 40-hour work week thing, for as long as I have, still enjoying video games, drawing, and the like. Yeah, I mean, those are very legitimate hobbies to have. I don't know why people classify them as a adult thing and kid thing. It seems like a very dated, maybe boomer-esque idea that one should be labeled adult hobby and then one should be labeled kid hobby, because like there are video games made for adults quite literally nowadays. And I mean, there's drawing that you can do that is much more beyond coloring a coloring book, you know? There's definitely a more serious form to a lot of these hobbies that you can do as an adult that equates to your adult skill level. But you know, One Piece, you meant One Punch Man? Did I say One Piece? Sorry, it's the turkey talking. That's what it is. But yeah. It sounds like everybody had some good meals, for sure. Let me pull up the comments made. It was a legendary One Piece animator. Okay, maybe that's where I got the One Piece from. They were talking about One Punch Man Season 3 not being so good. Obviously, that has been like the talk for a lot of anime fans out there. I think one of the main mistakes that he made when addressing this was first like disregarding the people who were criticizing it completely. He starts off like his statement by saying One Punch Man has received a lot of criticism, and by that I mean from people overseas who are watching illegally. That's not I don't think those are the only people who have ever criticized anime ever for having bad animation. That's not exactly in line with reality, right? I mean, I know so many stories of different anime from way back in the 90s that got critiqued for having bad animation, and the studio obviously responds by like just fixing it for the DVD release, the eventual DVD release, right? And that has happened with One Punch Man as well, from what I understand, where occasionally there will be a mistake that goes through for the TV airing, and then they fix it for the Blu-ray. You know, just little fixes here and there. But yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that opening to his response. There is a little bit of legitimacy here and there that he mentions throughout the rest of his response, but very, very bad way to just disregard anyone overseas, I guess, who's watching the, or any criticism, really. He's just accusing that from being people who are watching it illegally overseas. So he continued, he said, I think the people in the production are probably feeling a lot of pain. Everyone agrees that they're not trying to make something poorly done, but they're being criticized for the smallest of details. All right. I'm not sure about that last part. I don't know if they're very small, minuscule details. Some of them are. Some of them are. Sometimes people who are pulling up these mistakes in season 3, they're picking out like these very tiny things that you would only notice if you like stopped on a frame, right? But that's not most of it, right? I don't think it is anyway. I think the Garu slide is a pretty hard detail to miss. I don't think you need to freeze frame, zoom in, or enhance that with sci-fi technology to notice the Garu slide is a little bit fucking silly. But you know, maybe some things are a little bit exaggerated. Maybe some parts people are exaggerating the mistakes a little bit. I don't know, man. I'm not claiming that I've heard all criticism from every person on the internet, but anyway, he continued. Where should we put our motivation? Please think about the people who are creating the footage behind the scenes. They're not doing it as volunteers. Well, if they were doing it as volunteers, we would have lower standards. So it's not really an excuse. Just saying. It's all a job. The more you bully them, the more staff will disappear. I don't like this either. I don't like this response either, because it's essentially a threat. It's like, you better accept the lower standards, otherwise you won't get any anime at all. I'm gonna take your anime away from you, just like taking a child's toy away from you. We're all just gonna quit. And to some extent, I can empathize. I can understand where this is coming from. Yeah, obviously it's a high-stress job. You shouldn't pursue this kind of work if you're not willing to be put under high stress and crunch time. And I don't agree that a studio should put their animators under the ridiculous crunch time that a lot of them do. But there are reasons for why there's such poor management when it comes to deciding on these deadlines for anime. And it really depends what studio you're working with, honestly. This could be like a very JC staff problem that they wouldn't be facing if they worked with another studio. But you know, all of it really depends on like who you're working with and who's managing it and if they're competent or not in the first place. Because the less competent the higher ups are, the more you'll have to make up for them being incompetent. The more work you are gonna have to be putting in to make up for all of that. But yeah, I don't like the way he opens with, oh, all the criticism is coming from people overseas who are pirating it. I don't like him essentially doing this thinly veiled threat like, oh, you can't criticize anime, otherwise it's all going to be taken away from you. Everybody's going to quit, so therefore don't criticize them. You know, it's not the best response we're getting, at least through this translation. Maybe somebody else has a better translation where it doesn't sound so sassy. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's how he ends his little rant here. So, not my favorite response, gotta say. And, you know, it's responses like these that kind of make me wish that animators just didn't say anything at all when it comes to responding to this. I mean, there's a lot of people I see criticizing One Punch Man Season 3. And a lot of them will say, don't contact the animators, don't bully the animators, it's not the animators' fault. a lot of them who are criticizing it will simultaneously say it's not the animator's fault, and we shouldn't make them feel bad. Now, obviously, there are some like individuals online who just don't understand why an anime turns out bad or why crunch time is a thing for a lot of these animation productions. And a lot of people just think the reason why JC Staff is known as being the cheap animation company is just because it's a bunch of lazy or inexperienced people working there or something like that. I mean, like, maybe sometimes, sure, there's some inexperienced people working at an animation company and they need the experience, so they just lower the prices super low. But sometimes the reason why a studio would have low prices is just because they're trying to compete with other animation studios. And in order to compensate for the fact that they have the low prices, they take on more projects to, because if you set your price rate very low, then you're going to need to sell much more in order to make it worth it. And that might be the case with JC Staff, because they do put out a lot of anime each year. I mean, if you put out a lot of anime because you need to do a lot because the price rate is so low, then obviously it's going to show in the quality that you need to get it out very fast. And I think I see that with One Punch Man Season 3 for sure. The fact that it was procrastinated for this long, it kind of surprises me, honestly. They must have been putting this off for a while before finally just being like, okay, this is our deadline. This is as long as Bandai Namco is willing to wait. We need to get it out immediately this year. It's rough. And I can only imagine that what pressure the animators were actually under to get this finished. I do feel bad for them. It's not like I don't feel bad for them. But I'm not going to pretend that it's of the standard. It's not obviously it's not of the standard of season 1, right? But it's not even of the standard of season 2. It's a free-for-all. And people who are consuming it have the right to have a standard. They have a right to say, okay, this is our line, and you've crossed it, and we don't want standards to continue to drop. And we're upset. People are allowed to say that, for sure. It's a bad thing, and listen, when it comes to the whole blaming the people who are delivering the criticism rather than blaming the management, blaming the studio, I mean, maybe they can't because they don't want to get fired, right? Whatever. Then just don't make a statement on it at all. But Japan in general, just advice to Japanese in this industry, don't make the mistake that Hollywood has made. Don't attack the fans. Don't respond to criticism by attacking the fans. It will not lead you anywhere good. You look at Hollywood, they've been doing this. It has made people so spiteful, so much more hateful, so much more spiteful towards the media that they're watching because they're being attacked by the producers and the writers and the people who are making the movies. It doesn't end well. You don't want to develop this habit. So, like I said, you would rather make no statement at all than blame the fans who are criticizing One Punch Man Season 3. And as I've said, I don't blame the animators. I'm sure that they were just forced to get it done, and the quality didn't matter because they're just forced to get it done. And probably when it's released on the DVD, they'll probably fix a bunch of mistakes, but they just had to release it for the TV version. I get it. It's bad management, it's bad business practice, but I understand why it happens. And I don't think the fans should stay quiet about the fact that they don't like it. It's kind of silly. But you know how it is. Yeah, it's also just like some random accusation that everyone who's criticizing it must be people overseas who must be watching it illegally. A lot of weebs here really do have the Crunchyroll subscription because it just offers a lot of different anime, especially a lot of anime reviewers you'll find on YouTube for sure. And even people who are pirating it, they are still contributing to the industry. They're still like keeping it relevant by talking about it online. They still post about chapters. They're still buying the manga. They're still buying the merch. I can't even tell you how many people I've seen with One Punch Man merch, especially when it exploded and it first came out like through Adult Swim. It was everywhere. But yeah, it's just bad. It's a bad response. But, you know. So, I do hope things work out for One Punch Man in the long run. I'm sure people who worked on the anime must be really disappointed about receiving the worst episode on IMDb. Broke that record. Sure, I get it. It's stressful. It's stressful having a lot of expectations put on you like that and only being given like this short time to meet those expectations. But yeah, it's not good to respond by being like, I blame the people giving the criticism. Of all people, let's blame the critics. But yeah, there have been other scenarios where people in Japan have complained about the animation quality not being up to par, and that has caused like controversy time after time. And like I said, usually they just respond to it by like fixing animation mistakes for the DVD release or whatever home video release at the time. Sometimes they would re-release it on TV, right? Depending on like the OVA, but it is interesting because I like the anime industry, of course. I am a fan of a lot of what's coming from Japan, but I do see like the cracks. You know, it's not a flawless industry by any means, and they're under more pressure now than ever because a lot of other countries want to essentially take the industry away from them. They're got a lot more competitors now than ever who see that there is potential in the fans of anime, and they want to take that. They want to take that from Japan, and they want to be the center for animation instead. I get it. But man, there's a lot of anime that's coming out that kind of just shouldn't be made in the first place. Just being blunt here, there's a lot of shit coming out as well that people will not talk about because it's not very good. But irregardless, money is being spent on those just for them to fail, just for them to flop. And that's not good either, because more money could go towards projects that deserve it if it wasn't for all the failures, right? And in general, I feel like there's a lot of better management that could be done. I do think anime studios should raise their prices and seek to do less projects overall, rather than the strategy of lowering prices and increasing how many projects that they take. That seems like a bad strategy. But they've done it before, and the animators suffer because of it. It's part of the reason why the conditions are so bad. There's so much work that they want to pump out a series after series and take a chance on all these different IPs, just hoping, oh man, maybe this will be the next One Piece. No. Is this the next One Piece? No. It's kind of the same thing with the manga industry. They keep on, they put a lot of promotion towards what they think is going to be the next One Piece, and they're actively seeking for creators overseas in other countries to even contribute to the manga industry, because, well, overseas is part of the reason why it exploded as much as it did, because the anime industry and the manga industry like spread out, and once it was global, that's when they got the real massive success, right? So they figure, oh, well, if we can get someone who's already overseas, maybe they have like more insight into what they want to see more of, etc., etc. But man, it's a mess. It is a mess right now. I hope that they get everything under control, because there's so much risk that they've been taken by just throwing things at the wall and trying to see what sticks. And yeah, a lot of risk. And then meanwhile, they do have the safe bet anime that they've been coming out with too. The remakes, mostly. The remakes, the reboots, the sequel series. Those are their safe anime that they come out with, because they're like, okay, well, it already has an established fandom, so we can just bust these out and to make some money, and those will do well no matter what. Which does kind of remind me of Hollywood. Not gonna lie, I get worried about the reboots and the remakes and the sequels. It makes me think, oh no, don't copy us because we didn't do well. That was our downfall, is when we relied way too much on reboots to get money. It's not. But like I said, I like the anime industry. I want it to succeed. I want them to get their shit together and hopefully reserve funds for projects that actually deserve it, like One Punch Man. Because, oh man, they did One Punch Man dirty. It's a very popular IP. It should have priority over other shows. It should. So that's why people hold it to such a high standard. It's because it's such a popular IP. The manga looks beautiful. And one of the best manga artists, honestly, in all of Japan. He's got to be one of the top 10 at least. He's amazing. But then you get to season 3 and it's not living up to the standard. It's not living up to the hype that people want. So yeah. Perhaps they should start by not constantly doing fantasy isekai anime. It is a lot. And not all of them are good. Most of them are trash. But I understand why they keep doing them. I do get it. Because lit RPGs are extremely popular. Mostly just because the people who enjoy lit RPGs consume a lot of them. And it's the same thing with like Korean webcomics and stuff like that. So they want to capitalize on that audience as much as possible, because if they can manage to reach that audience, they make a bunch of money through them. But yeah, it's fucking trash. It is. There's a lot of trash anime coming out of that isekai genre, which is a shame, because I don't hate the concept of an isekai. I've mentioned this before, but I've enjoyed isekais before. It's just the recent ones, everyone's trying to do it, and none of them, very few of them are actually like good. It's just like the pressure of, you must write story with this plot premise and then do some sort of twist on it. And everyone's just kind of being put under that pressure. And not all of them have really good ideas, not really good like twists to add to it. So it's difficult. Do you think the years of outsourcing work to China might have been a contributing factor here too? Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, because China wants to take the anime industry from them. China is coming out with their own original anime now. And I gotta be honest, not all of the anime China's coming out with is bad. Some of them are actually pretty decent. That's like that's a real thing to be very wary of, for Japan to be very wary of. And, you know, they gotta be worried. But I don't think the solution is just come out with more and more anime. I don't think quantity is the issue. I think you need to come out with more polished anime. You need more masterpieces and worry less about the quantity side of things. That's my take on it anyway. I could be wrong. A lot of people say that that quality does not matter nearly as much as the quantity. A lot of people will die on that hill and say, well, I need to keep on making a gajillion novels because that's how I'll be successful, is if I just keep on making more. And I don't care if they have typos in them. I don't care if I put MS Paint covers on the cover. Eventually one of them will sell well. I'm just buying tickets for a lottery. That's essentially how they view it, right? Just the more tickets you buy, the more chances you'll get at making it. And there's a balancing act you have to do. Yes, I do know that doing more projects will increase your chances of getting noticed, but they have to be good. You have to actually try. It has to be reflective of your talents. If it's not reflecting your ability, then it's worthless. Man, frustrating to see. But people will make this argument. I've heard people make this argument that it doesn't matter the quality, you just have to keep on putting out more and more. I don't agree with it. But yeah, in the dark age of Hollywood, honestly, yeah, we're still kind of in that age too. But I think we might be running out of things to reboot at this point. They're gonna have to dive really, really deep to find something to reboot. I mean, aren't they already like doing a remake of Moana? It's not even that old of a movie. They're remaking anything that they can. It's whatever. Do what you gotta do, I guess. Please, may I ask you one thing? Got an anime. It looks like an isekai, but it isn't. It's really good. It looks like an isekai. Interesting. I think you should start your own webtoon. I'm good. Yeah, if it wasn't selling, they wouldn't be churning it out, I guess. No, I've seen people who will churn out work that doesn't sell, and their response to it not selling is, well, I'll just make 10 more, and one of them will eventually sell. And I think that's a bad way of viewing it. There's a lot of anime that loses money when it's finished, and you know, they just move on to the next one. They're like, oh, well, maybe this one will make money, maybe this one will make money, you know, and they just keep on keeping on, you know. Some fantasy isekai can be good. Shield Hero, well, I think the first season of Shield Hero was good. I didn't keep watching once we made it to the second season. I was like, I don't know about this, and I didn't continue. I heard that there's a massive drop-off with Shield Hero, so I wasn't very motivated to keep on going after that. I thought the first season was good enough. It was fine. I think maybe the first few episodes were like really interesting, and then, you know, it's a little bit okay. Then they wrap it up and it's like, okay, sure. And then you get to the second season and like, I don't know about this. I don't know if this hits the same. It's not even really that uncommon to have a drop off from season 1 to season 2. I remember me and Adam, we watched Uzaki-chan together, right? By the time season 2 came out, he was like, obviously, he's like, yay, you know, get to watch more anime with my girlfriend. We put on season 2 of Uzaki. And I didn't really mind it that much, but Adam was so like dumbfounded by how much there was a production drop off. And you know, maybe I'm just used to kind of slice of life anime having like very low tier animation, so maybe I'm just used to it. But he noticed it so much more and was so much more disturbed by it. He was just like, just turn it off. he was upset. He was genuinely like, just turn it off. I'll just read the manga instead. I didn't think it was that bad, but you know, everybody has their own preferences, of course. I've been watching a couple older OVAs every now and then too, and it's really a huge difference in animation quality when you watch like some of these like 90s or 80s OVAs and you compare it to a modern anime. Oh my god, it's so different. Like not just the color scheme or anything. Obviously, you know, this before digital, but the way that they go about telling the story, everything's like so different. The mood is different. It's not just lighting, it's the animation. There's so much more fluidity in it. The animation is it's just kind of straight up better. If gotta be honest. Recently I was recommended the one of the fights, like Dio versus Jotaro from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I was recommended the OVA of that fight, and I thought, oh well, I've never seen the OVA before, so let me see how they handled the fight in the OVA version. That should be curious, right? And I watch and I'm like, oh my god, it's so animated. What the hell? Like, I'm getting a little bit of whiplash. Like, I mean, granted, like, the color is super dark, and I don't think the world looks as good as maybe the modern anime version, but there's a lot that's just done better. It's fucking weird. It's weird to think that even though it's different, it is better in certain aspects at the very least. Even though they had less technology, they had less ways of getting it done faster. Maybe that's kind of the secret in a way. Because they're unable to take any shortcuts, they're kind of forced to just sit down and actually like work on their craft. They put more attention to the details because they're not thinking about how do I get this done faster, thinking about how to get it done well. That's a theory anyway. When it comes to doing it traditionally versus digitally. I remember Disney, there was like this schism in Disney when it came to the conversion to digital animation, or traditional to digital animation. There were a lot of people who didn't want to turn to digital animation because they thought it was a huge downgrade in quality. And they thought people were gonna not do as good of a job animating if they did it digitally because there were so many shortcuts, so many easy ways to get it done. People wouldn't be like paying attention as well, you know, there would be a lot more mistakes, so much less attention to the craft, I guess. And I mean, I guess especially coloring, you can obviously see immediately when it comes to digital animation. You can tell right away that something is made digitally just from the colors. But sometimes, you know, you don't appreciate how something is animated differently until you see it side by side like that. It's side by side with traditional animation and digital, and then you really can see the difference in the movement. It's crazy. But yeah, the OVA animation was very good. Anyway, that was my original point. There's a lot of really well animated OVAs out there that have this animation style that just doesn't exist anymore. We've just moved past it. We're so much more focused on getting things done quickly, getting more done, than we are at creating a masterpiece. And, you know, in a way, I get it. I do, because if you put all your heart and soul into creating a masterpiece, and then it doesn't do financially well, it feels like you have this hole in you, like you've wasted all this time, all this effort. It's crushing. I get it. I do. And maybe that is part of the reason why people are not getting invested in the projects that they're doing anymore. You know? It's a theory anyway. That's how I would feel about it. It's difficult to get invested in a project that you're worried that isn't going to do well. And animation in general just doesn't have good financial turnaround. Unfortunate. I don't know how we can change that to make animation have good financial turnaround, make it worth it. At the end of the day, it's never going to be quite worth it as much as just doing a live action production, right? Because there's just so much less people you need to hire for doing something live action. Whereas for doing animation, you need to hire a bunch of animators and they need to be working for a very, very long time. It takes years to finish something, you know? But yeah. Mid-90s anime is so distinct looking too, really stands out. Yeah, I really dig the style, honestly. I mean, Studio Ghibli's animation still looks good. It's done digitally. Miyazaki is a control freak. Yeah, I'm just saying that you don't notice the difference in how animation looks digitally versus traditionally until you see them side by side, because I think that's something that most people overlook. You notice the color difference right away, right? If you just took a freeze frame and you're like, okay, that's traditional, that's digital, you know, you can notice the color immediately if you see something, but not so much the animation until you actually compare them. But yeah, no, I'm not saying that it looks bad. I think that it looks more fluid when it is done traditionally, and I think there are reasons for it, you know? I think maybe seeking out shortcuts all the time has maybe led to people not putting as much effort into the little details. That's my theory. Maybe. Why do they not simply print off laser acetates of the CGI? Just take photographs of the frames and then project that. Yeah, maybe. It's about the director lead's ability to manage people. OG Disney was so good because Disney was a control freak. Maybe. I don't know if I would describe Disney as a control freak, but he was active in a lot of the projects. He was very personally involved in the projects. It's really interesting to look at like super old footage of him acting out the script to the team that was going to be animating it. Really interesting, honestly. But I like that passion, you know? That's the one thing that I really admire about Walt Disney, is that passion that he really had, that detail. It's gone in modern Disney. I know it's not there anymore. Now everything is on a conveyor belt, just constantly, you know, produce. They don't really care. And soon, I'm sure they'll probably be also doing the AI because they don't care. Because that's exactly what they would do if you don't care. But original OG Mr. Disney, he had a lot of attention to detail. He was active in a lot of the projects. And I think that does make a difference, because when you yourself are passionate about something and you're talking to your team you can inspire them. You can share that passion with them, face to face. You can be like, this is what I want it to be like, and it's going to be amazing, and you're going to make it amazing, like that's what helps really motivate people, though, is when you have like these closer relationships with them. It's more like friends making a project that you're all on the same side for. You're all like excited to be making it. That's what you need. Yeah. But yeah, something else I heard that I was very confused about. Apparently, Assassin's Creed Shadows has a DLC with Attack on Titan. Did you hear about this? What the fuck is that about? What? That was the most confusing news I had ever seen. Why? What? Who made that decision? Are we just going to keep on putting like as many non-Japanese people into this game as possible? I don't understand. They were criticized for not being historically accurate, and now we're gonna straight up dive into actual fantasy. Oh my goodness. We're just gonna throw fucking giant titans in there. What is I don't get it. Who made this decision? All right. The Attack on Titan. I'm reading like an article that's going over it now. I should share so you guys can understand. All right. The new Attack on Titan quest sees Yasuke and Naoe, both of whom received new costumes modeled after the Titan's exposed musculature and the Survey Corps' military uniform, respectively. Tasked with entering into the Crystal Cave itself, reminiscent of Underground Chapel, where Eren Yeager meets his final fate, and investigating reports of a mysterious new bio-experiment that threatens the whole of Japan, which unsurprisingly turns out to be a Titan. Yeah, but how are they in this universe? They're from an anime. How'd they get here? What happened? Why are we doing multiverses now in Assassin's Creed? Have they always done multiverses? I'm not really big on the Assassin's Creed lore. I know that they do time travel, but do they actually do multiverses? Do they collab with cartoons? Is that Assassin's Creed? Is that what they're known for? I don't know, guys. What do you think? No, they have not? Oh man, could have fooled me. What is going on? I'm so confused. The Attack on Titan event is ass in Shadows anyway. Spent like the whole time running away from the Titan. Yeah, because money. Yeah, I guess so, but like, who asked for this? Who sees this and they're like, hell yeah. First I'm playing as like Yasuke in Japan. Now I'm playing as a fictional German-based characters in Japan. I'm so confused. Yeah, who needs shit to make sense? I guess so. Who needs shit to make sense? Just go for it. Let's see how much we can push people. Let's see. The quest's very basic traversal sections ultimately culminate in the player having to run away from the Titan instead of actually getting to fight it, before revealing that the aforementioned costumes, while freely available while doing the Attack on Titan mission, must be purchased separately for use in the main game. Okay. To make matters worse, the Attack on Titan DLC is only available for a limited time, less than a month to be precise, with access to the crossover content set to be delisted on December 22nd. Well, that's just a way of trying to get people to buy it before it's gone. I'm sure there'll be like another method of getting it, either by sailing the seas or other means. They'll probably like put it up years later and it'll just be free and they won't mention it. Or they'll act like it's a good thing, right? Let's see. It's the previous released Claws of Awaji expansion was billed as the game's first. Okay. That's not really important, though. But yeah, very, very confusing DLC decision here. Who is making the decisions about this game? It looks terrifying, too, doesn't it? They're trying to add diversity into Japan. That's right. That's their way of continuing the trend. Let me see. They false advertised the event. Despite the mission being available for free in the game, they didn't tell people that they have to buy the new costumes. That's right, yeah. I don't know how Spider-Man's mechanicals are, but aren't those fun enough on their own? This thing was insane, honestly. It seems insane. I would not think about this. Of all crossovers, this is the last one on my list. Yeah. I don't even think the pirates want to touch this. Maybe not. The live-action Attack on Titan movie takes place in Japan, I think. I wouldn't know about it, but I mean, I imagine that they're all Asian actors for the live-action Attack on Titan movie because, like, they're always Asian actors, right? They have mostly just Asians in Japan. Those are the actors that they need to work with. But there are other like examples of like characters who are supposed to be Caucasian, but they're played by Asians anyway in the live action movies. Or yeah, they just got to work with what they got, you know. It's a overall pretty monotonous culture. Canonically, Mikasa is only half Asian on Paradise. Paradise. Don't know why Ubisoft suddenly adding anime to their games. I don't understand. Maybe it's just because of like how I've mentioned before, anime sells, so they're just trying to integrate all the IP into, you know, they're just trying to connect as much as possible. Like, oh, well, we have Goku on our cover, so you'll buy it now, right? You'll buy anything with Goku on it, right? They're trying to pull a what's that called? It's like the fucking why is the name escaping me now? It's like the energy drinks that always have brand deals with every YouTuber and every anime and anything popular for a brief amount of time. They just have some brand deal with it. It's like that. Is basically just take any IP that you can see. Yeah, because they're broke? I don't know. Someone say Goku? Yeah, there you go. How do you do, fellow kids? Basically. Okay. Meanwhile, they still use their realistic art style to depict the anime stuff. Though thankfully it appears to be all costume-based stuff. Had they used the actual characters, though. That's what I was getting the impression of, that they were gonna use the actual characters. It's interesting. But yeah, alright. So that kind of ends the couple things that I wanted to talk about anyways. I just thought that was such a crazy crossover that I had to mention it. So weird. So weird. Anyway, G Fuel, that was it. You're right. You're absolutely right. I was thinking of G Fuel. Yeah, now we know. G Fuels. The G stands for Goku. All right, guys. That's going to end our Friday stream. I think this was a pretty good stream, though. We got to talk about a bunch of stuff. We had some interesting conversations, interesting topics afoot, right? I do hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We're gonna all do our best to have a great Christmas season, make Christmas 2025 fantastic and wholesome and fun, right? And just know that I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for you being here, watching as you do, and buying the comics. Cough, cough. my shameless plug. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't already, please feel free to check out the Discord or any other social medias in the description. And I'll wish you all good night. I'll see you all next time. All right. Good night, everybody. Bye.